Welcome back to the Automation Podcast. My name is Shawn from Insights in Automation, and this week on the show, I meet up with Tom Reiter and Jay Cortel of Schneider Electric to learn all about their Harmony line of HMIs. Guys, thank you for coming back on the Automation Podcast. Well, I know for Jay, it's your second time. Thomas, I think it's your first time, but I'm really excited here to learn about Schneider Electric Harmony HMIs. I really don't know much about the line, but before we get started and dive into the content, let me pitch it to you, Jay, for a short intro, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Shawn. Thank you for returning my calls and definitely accepting my invites. Like he said, this is going to be our second OEM podcast. If you'd like to know a little bit more about our first one, which is on OEM Monicon PLCs, it was podcast number 161. And to date, it's been a great success, and I'm expecting this one will follow suit. So I'm excited to have another smarter than I am engineer from Schneider I'm bringing in today and to present our HMI Harmony product line. Tom and I have worked together for several years, and although he seems to have forgotten about me, I've been cyber stalking keeping an eye on his career for some time now, and I truly believe that this is going to be a great Friday the 13th with us presenting. So, Tom, if you'd like to take it.
Thanks, Jay. Hi. So like Jay said, my name's Tom Reiter. I am a global PAE with the Schneider HMI line of business. The line of business is actually headquartered in Osaka, Japan. I'm working for that line of business, basically helping all the SAEs, PAEs, application engineers, salespeople, etc., with their HMI related issues here in North and South America. So I've been with Schneider since 2012. I've done various roles, and I worked for Jay, I think, for a year or two or something like that. And about 2 years ago is when I took on this new role as a global PAE. So been doing HMIs a long time, almost my entire career. I've been in industrial automation since, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say the late 80s. I worked I worked for a company called Total Control Products in the late 90s, which everyone even remembers. That was a Quick Designer and I was actually I was an application engineer back then. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth on HMIs. So like this opening slide says, today I'm going to talk about the Schneider Harmony HMI IPC/software portfolio. So if we look at the entire lineup, what I did is over here on, if you look at this slide, we've got it divided up into basic HMIs, advanced HMIs, and then industrial PCs. And then what I attempted to do, because when we talk about HMIs, the hardware is kind of the hardware, and then of course the very key important point about any of the hardware is what software you're running on it. And I tried to kind of group the hardware together with the different softwares that run on the different hardwares. But for all intents and purposes, with some few exceptions, for all the different hardware, we could pretty much run any of our different software packages. And we'll show a little bit more about the different software packages, et cetera, further on. But if you look here, if you just start over here on the left and we look at looking at our basic HMI line, we're talking about a line which, we've got everything from 15-inch down to 4-inch, and then also even a faceless DIN rail mounted HMI. And then all the way down to a little even smaller unit, which is a little 3.5-inch. Okay. And these will run the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert software, right? And then if we come down here, if we look at these units, these are still available, still valid units, and will be around for depending on which model. These are kind of more of the legacy units that have been around for many years, but we're still supporting them, still selling them, and still using kind of the legacy Visio Designer software, which has been around for many years. It's been our bread and butter software forever. Okay. Then if we kind of look up here into the advanced HMIs, you'll see we have this GTU line, and then we have basically a ruggedized version of that GTU line. And we'll get into the individual lines a little bit more, more details on the individual HMI models later. But this is just kind of an overview of where everything sits. And then these are programmed it's actually possible to program these with Operator Terminal Expert and Visio Designer. And then for the Windows version of this, we can actually use our light SCADA software. Okay. And then when we move into the industrial PCs, we're talking about a line of edge boxes. So these are lower end Atom or ARM based lightweight edge box PCs, either running Windows or Linux. We have a line of flat panel monitors, which share the display components with the Harmony P6 IPC line, which is our full blown IPC product currently. And then the IPC line will either run our light SCADA product, the EcoStruxure Machine SCADA Expert product, or they will, either one of them will run the Operator Terminal Expert. So you can see, so all the way from the low end to the high end, the same software will cover all the different hardwares. And then there's also, we have remote access apps that we do to remote access our HMIs. And then we also have a service where we have, it's called EcoStruxure Secure Connect. And what's interesting about this is that in not all of the HMIs, but more for the ST6, for the GTO, for the GTU, and for the IPCs, what we have is we essentially have a built-in VPN client that's built into the HMI that interacts with our own cloud service. So for example, you could have a VPN connection without an additional appliance because the client is built into the HMI itself.
Tom, let me ask you this question.
Yep.
And I know you're going to go into this all in more detail.
Sure.
But my takeaway from this is that if I wanted a basic HMI, I would go with the Harmony ST6. If I needed something with more power, I would go with the GTU.
Exactly.
But you're still supporting some of these older lines like the STU, SCU, GTO.
Right.
Those are still being supported. But today, if I was doing a brand new project, ST6 or GTU, is that correct?
Or IPC, that's right. You're
IPC.
Exactly right. Yep,
okay,
absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
That's a great way to look at it for sure. So then moving on, this is the slide where we kind of show where the HMIs sit in the entire EcoStruxure machine architecture. And, up here at the top, you'll see for the HMI business, we're kind of sitting in all three different layers, right? And then here at the top, this is my bad graphic artist piece, is that, the apps, analytic, and services part is now being, kind of taken care of by our Viva and our collaboration with Aviva, basically. Okay. So if you look again, so like I said, so if you look at the entire stack, you'll see down here in connected products, we see our basic HMIs. And then when we talk about edge control, we're talking about, right, our advanced PCs, we're talking about Operator Terminal Expert, Machine Expert, and then, like I said, this edge box, this is an HMI edge box that sits on the edge. So that's where we sit in the entire stack. Okay, so if we look, like I said, so now if we break it down, right, so if you look at this ST6 line, what's interesting about this is that within this same hardware platform, what we're actually offering is we're offering you our, say, EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, which is our HMI software, right? To, you fully design your HMI project, trending, recipes, variables, connecting to PLCs, etc., the whole thing. And then we also have within the same line of, we're using the same hardware, and we're basically giving you an HTML5 web browser HMI. So if you want to use this HMI to just basically work it as a browser, if you wanted to, go to any HTML5, visualization page, etc., you could do that with this actual hardware. And then the third part of it is these EdgeBox HMIs, which are basically running our light SCADA software in a Linux environment. So we're basically packing some light SCADA functionality into a low-cost box like this. Okay, and you could see everything from 4-inch up to 15-inch, all widescreen, all 16 million colors. Tool-free mounting. All of them except the small 4-inch unit have 2 Ethernet ports, right? And like I said, here's the web version, which has the HTML5. And then the other part of it is there's also a unit which has this unique mounting part where basically you just cut 122 millimeter hole in your panel, and then you can kind of see how that HMI fits through that hole. Okay?
That's much quicker
kind of a
than,
unique. Yeah, people love it. It saves. Yeah, absolutely. People love it. It saves on cutouts. That's actually, especially for small OEMs, cutouts are always a pain in the, it can always be hard to do. This gives you just cut one hole, stick the HMI in there. Okay.
I want to ask a question here. I want to make sure I understand this. So
Sure.
we're looking at the ST6 line, and these would typically program with your EcoStruxure Operated Terminal Expert.
Correct.
Now, as far as the HTML client, right, is that a separate piece of hardware, or can any of these be?
Yeah, it is a separate piece of hardware.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fine.
the same hardware. Yeah. That's a great question, but yes, it is a separate piece of hardware, but it's essentially off the same platform, right?
Yeah. So you don't need the Terminal Expert license because
Nope.
you're just going to be doing HTML5.
No,
That makes
exactly.
sense to me. So, but
Yep.
this is where I kind of got lost is where does the Machine SCADA Expert come in? Can all of these do that, or is that a different partner?
That's a unique thing. Let's talk about that in a minute when I talk about Machine SCADA Expert.
Sounds good.
Right. And then here's just another one. This is just that little tiny, you could see a real super compact, and you could kind of see, this is an operator terminal expert screen. So this kind of gives you an example of what you can kind of do with that software. But again, just, a small little tiny HMI, you can get them with Ethernet ports or serial ports. All right. And then we look at the standard HMI again, kind of these products go back more than 10 years, but like I said, they're still current product, and the current plan is to carry these out with Visio Designer actually towards the end of the decade. So still quite a life going, but like I said, not, like I said, for new projects, we tend to look to ST6.
This would be really for those people who are using the GTO
for using the products.
Yeah.
And the thing with for Schneider HMIs, like I said, you've got a lot of it is about software, right? So the Visio Designer software has been around for a long time. A lot of people are really used to it. They get, you get used to a software, you get good at it, and people just want to stick with it. So, if we're not going to force people to change right now. So that's where
that's good. That's good. And no two software packages can have all
no
the
two
same
software
features.
packages. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you're efficient staying with what you got.
Right.
I get it.
And then again, here we are. Here's the legacy cutout unit again, right? The Harmony STU again uses Visio Designer, right? And then, again, this was the old, this was the original 22 millimeter mounted HMI, right? So now because we've got that in the ST6 now. And then in that same kind of the same hardware, obviously it shares the same display, but we actually have a cutout free HMI controller. So what this uses, this is actually using Visio Designer and EcoStruxure Machine Expert, which in the previous webinar we talked about with Schneider, with Joel and Mahua, that was a focus of that. So that EcoStruxure Machine Expert actually is the programming language for this HMI controller.
So this is the SCU, and it's both an HMI and it's a controller. Excellent.
Correct. That's right. All right. And then this is, you could kind of see here, this is just the layout of all the different screen sizes. You'll see here, like here's no face. Here's the different resolutions, the memory sizes, how many Ethernet ports, et cetera. This is stuff you can.
This is a truth table for all the basic.
This is a truth
HMIs.
table. This is kind of what this is how you would compare it, et cetera. Right. Then we look at the advanced HMI. This is that GTU series, and you can kind of see what's nice about this series is there's actually two pieces. There's a box plus a display, and then you have the ability to, so for example, if you bash your display in, right, you can just pull the box off, just replace the box. All the smarts are in the box. So the program, everything is in the box. So the display gets destroyed.
Tool free.
And it's tool free. There's these little clips that extend out. So, and then there's like a little the word is escaping me, but it's like a clip that sits on the top, so you can push it in from the front and it'll kind of hang in there without falling out, as long as the cutout is okay, I guess, right? So right.
Well, could you like take a project and, like, let's say you wanted to go to a bigger screen, let's say you started out with a 6 and you wanted to go to something bigger, or a 7?
Yes, you can. There is some, depending on the screens that you hear, there is some auto scaling. But most of that, to be honest, a lot of what's being done today that's what the Operator Terminal Expert software is addressing. And I'll talk about that in a second, as far as scaling to the different sizes, right? But you can see here, there's everything from 7-inch wide all the way through 19-inch wide, right? And these have full multi-touch, et cetera, which is currently supported by the Operator Terminal Expert software.
Nice.
Okay. So that's the kind of the advanced HMI piece. Okay, and here's, like I said, so this is interesting because this is the extreme version of that GTU piece. So instead of, I don't know if it says it here. No, I don't remember what the standard temperature range is, but you can see here for the extreme part, it's -30 to +70, and it's sunlight readable with 1,000 nit anti-glare surface. And this is
Nice.
key, right? It's UV
UV
protected,
protection.
UV
Yep.
protected, NEMA 4 outdoor use,
Outdoor
etc.
use, yes.
Right.
That's a big
So
one, NEMA 4X
yeah,
outdoor use. It's ATEX as well. Nice.
right. Yeah,
ICEX. Wow.
everything. Right. So this is quite nice, really nice units. And again, it's a nice. They're program. You can use the legacy software or EcoStruxure Operator Terminal X, or either will program either one of these
Yeah,
units.
I got to say it's nice to see that it's both extreme temperatures and environment outdoor,
Right.
but also class 1 Div 2 ATEX ICEX zone
Absolutely.
2.
Sure.
That's
Yep.
big.
That's right. Okay, and then moving on, the keyboard. This is again kind of a legacy product, but carrying over, right? And this is again just only Visual Designer, just basically HMIs with lots of keys. We've got some unique customers. The story always is if you look in jetways all over the world, you will see some of these for sure. You'll see Magellan. That always is interesting for us to see that. We always like that.
I was doing it my last trip. I was checking them all out. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So that's what we do at when we love our HMIs. Okay, so here again, here's our table with all the different resolutions, etc. Right, the different memory sizes, ports. Again, 2 LAN ports, SD cards. One of the nice things about the units, the G3U in these, is that the system is completely on an SD card. Right? So so you can basically image an SD card and transfer SD cards between the units, etc.
Oh, so nice.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Okay. And then the last part of the hardware is basically the Harmony Industrial PC, right? So you can see everything from a 15-inch, even a 12-inch, 10-inch, and these depends on what kind of box you can pair with it. That's why they have these little asterisks. But basically everything from a 10-inch all the way through a 22-inch, fully configurable. Basically, there's a configure to order piece on the Schneider Electric website where you configure what CPU you want, what hard drive you want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's fully configured and then basically built to order here in the US. So all the parts come from overseas and then they're assembled based on the configured to order part that comes in from the customer. And that's done in the US. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Does the
Yes.
PC mount to the back of the display or is it separate?
It can be either way. So currently they can be an all-in-one unit where the display mounts to the CPU and then you just panel mount it, or you can actually mount the box only to a DIN rail or just to a panel and then use an external monitor.
Okay.
Yeah. What's a little deceiving is this picture on the right is the PCI expansion that you can put on there. So we're still supporting that. That's a little bit of a deceiving picture, right?
Yep.
But that's kind of a
unique.
Huge box that's sitting on there. So if you've got, and that still comes into play. There's still a lot of field buses and stuff where you need a PCI card or something like that. Yeah. So we have the ability to add the box. Right.
That's neat that you have that now. And I don't want me to take you off your presentation, but we just had ISA back on the show, talking about 62443. So you guys designed this to be according to IEC
for cybersecurity. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And we're certifying our softwares to those different standards also. Like for Operator Terminal Expert, I can't rattle off what standard it's designed to, but Schneider has a very let's put this, we're very cybersecurity sensitive. Yeah. To the point of, starting to bug people with, why do I make me enter a password all the time type of stuff, right? So, we're starting to enforce like these rules. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I still have an old iPad. It only takes 4 numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
for a password. Right. It's like so insecure. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. And then we move on. So that's kind of their main, this is our, let's say top of the line PC offering for right now. So we're talking i3, i5, i7. Nice. There's some Atom units that are on the horizon at the beginning of the year for this line.
This is the P6 we're talking about.
This is for the P6. That's right.
Okay.
What we also have as far as edge boxes today, these will, when the P6 Atom boxes are released at the beginning of the year, these will start to get phased out. But these are our edge boxes, and you can see we've got ARM processors, lower end, supposed to be more dedicated edge boxes. You're not running an entire factory, right? You're just maybe doing some data exchange or something more lightweight. But you can see fully,
That's,
you can mount a
yep.
display, etc. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yep.
I'm not seeing.
So,
Would these come with an OS, or would these just come with
they
like?
come with either there is a Linux version and there is a 2 Windows versions.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
That
and
helps.
then moving on, it's the industrial flat panel monitors. So what these are all the displays that we have for the P6 series. You can also buy as an industrial flat panel monitor. So instead of mounting the CPU box to the back, we just basically mount a little video box to the back, which has like a display port,
Okay.
input on it. So it's just
Yeah.
working as a flat panel monitor with a touch screen, so it's got a USB port for the touch output.
So these are the FP6s for flat panel
Right.
6, I guess. Does the 6 indicate generation 6, or is there
It
some
does
other?
indicate generation. It's our
Okay.
6th generation PC.
That's
Right.
easy. Yep.
And then again, here's the feature comparison, right? So if you look at this is talking about the P6. So here's the different boxes, right? So
Yep.
standard box i3, and then in the advanced box, we've got Celeron i5 or i7. You can see fully configurable with these different options, right? You have expansion slots. These are all Windows 10, 64-bit, etc. Here's the different displays, everything up, from 12, 10-inch all the way up through full HD. So that's kind of the features. Here's, again, here's talking about some more of the sizes. Here's the certifications, etc. Right, here's the different softwares. So any questions about that kind of rounds off the hardware.
Okay.
So I think that's fairly straightforward. Okay. So now when we get into the software, the first software that we'll talk about, and this is, the slide is not really doing it justice. You can kind of see over here, but this is, so EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert is our latest software that it's currently at the end of the day, it's going to ultimately be our main HMI software. So today it's being built up to kind of build itself up into basically covering all of our possible HMI applications that we could possibly cover, right? And this is the software where we're talking about it's giving us a completely different design concept. So within the software, while you do have the ability to design HMIs just like you've been designing them forever, you also have the ability now to take advantage of, what really amounts to our implementation of some, more modern design functions that say come from Windows Presentation Foundation and from .NET, et cetera. Like, if you've ever heard of terms like ViewBox and Dock Panel and Stack Panel and things like that. So you can essentially make your HMI application one resolution, and then it will scale itself to whatever hardware you run it on, for example. Or you can if you kind of look over here in the upper right, you can kind of see, you can scale your screen so you can have multiple screens take up multiple sections. So this is not one screen with multiple screens embedded in it. It's multiple screens being shown through different content layers. Okay. So, so it's like I said, we can take up an hour just talking about the software packages for sure. Right. So that's the selling point to the new Operator Terminal Expert software, is enabling users to create more modern, multi-touch, more user interfaces that people today demand. So everybody's so used to using their cell phones and tablets and swiping between things, and this software allows you to design that kind of stuff without having to be a computer scientist, right? So we're giving you an HMI package that allows you to design some of these new cool modern things in a way that a regular HMI programmer person can do it, right, without having to be a .NET engineer or whatever it is. Okay. So that's the strength of that software. And like I said, so that's going to be our bread and butter in the future. It doesn't meet everything that we want to do today, no, but it's growing. Okay. So then if we look at the two, right, I'll just touch on Visual Designer, right? So this is, I already kind of touched on it. This Visual Designer, again, it's covering all our platforms today. It's the bread and butter software that we've had forever. A lot of many people love it. Many people want to continue to use it. And again, we're going to try to hang on to it as long as we possibly can, right? And then when we look, like I said, so when you asked about the machine SCADA expert, so what EcoStruxure Machine SCADA expert is it's actually our version. It's our version of a product called Aviva Edge, which also was originally called Indusoft.
Oh, okay.
So if you know who Indusoft is basically, this is the this is what Indusoft has grown into, right? So on the Aviva side, they have a product called Aviva Edge. And on the Schneider side is we have a product called Machine SCADA Expert, which is basically our branded version of that product. And we market it completely separately, et cetera. We support it on our own. We actually write our own drivers for it, things like that. And, part of the strength of it is that it's giving us kind of a light SCADA, and it helps us fill applications that either Visual Designer or Operator Terminal Expert doesn't meet up to or accomplish, right?
Yep.
And it also gives us what we also can do, and we can do this with all of our softwares, but what's also nice is we can bundle this software with one of our Harmony IPCs, right? Because the Machine SCADA Expert natively, Indusoft was always natively running on Windows, right? So what you do is when you configure one of your configure to order IPCs, then you can actually add the Machine SCADA Expert runtime has a line item to that configuration, okay? And then what's interesting about it is, and let me go back, is one of the other things that we've done with Machine SCADA Expert is if I go back to the, let me go all the way back to here, what you'll see is this box here, this ST6 box without a display that sits on a DIN rail is actually running a Linux version of EcoStruxure Machine SCADA Expert. So basically what it is the way the Machine SCADA Expert is typically sold is in tags. So you buy a tag level anywhere from 5 tags to whatever amount of tags you want. This Linux box running a version of SCADA Expert on Linux, you get a 500 tag runtime right out of the box. And it's giving you some, powerful SCADA features in a Linux box, right? So you can get some of the power out of Machine SCADA Expert without having to go into a full-blown IPC.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
right.
I can see where that's, yeah.
Right. So, it doesn't support everything that it does on Windows, of course, but as far as, we're thinking for, a little data gateway or something like that with all the different drivers that we have, et cetera, it can be, quite a powerful device. Okay. And then the last one, I think we're kind of getting near the end here. This is the industrial device app that this was actually this has only been released within the last few months. And what this is doing is this is tying together that secure connect, secure VPN system and your mobile devices, right? So when we talk about either Machine SCADA Expert, or if we talk about Operator Terminal Expert, one of the things that Operator Terminal Expert can do is it can expose all of its screens just via HTML5, right? So you can use any browser, and then any HTML5 browser that's on your Android phone or your Apple phone or whatever it might be can connect to an ST6 HMI, for example, running Operator Terminal Expert, and you can view and operate the screens from your browser. So what the app is allowing us to do is it's allowing us to use an app that manages our VPN connection. It manages all our connections to all our different HMIs that we might have, et cetera, all within one app. Okay, and you can kind of see with one of the things that's kind of nice is what you have with the ability to do is, so for example, through this VPN system, you can actually there's a client built into the box, whether it's the box or the HMI. It makes a connection to the cloud, right? So it registers itself on the cloud. You come along, go through the cloud, go to the device, and then you can actually program the PLC or anything that's sitting downstream on the network of this device. You can get at and program no problem. Okay. So that's the key. And I don't know if my dogs are coming through, but if they are, I apologize.
So with this app on the HMI, that can make the HMI act like a gateway through to the rest of your control system. Like if you had a bunch of PLCs or drives or whatever in that panel, if you enable this in the HMI, now the HMI acts as that part of that gateway, so you can get to the PLC and program it. So that app, is this a service, this industrial device app?
This app is more of all of it's really done within the client and within the gate. The app is just more of it's got the built-in client to tunnel through, but it's mainly for the management of your connections, et cetera. So for example, if you've got multiple sites, you could have them stored, and all the settings for those multiple sites could be stored, within the app. And then here, this is just a final slide, or we're getting towards the end here. This is just a brief thing. If we're talking about why we do have 3 softwares, we very much look, like I said, the future is going to be, EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, right? It's more modern, et cetera. It's being built for the modern user, right? Our EcoStruxure Machine SCADA Expert, again, that's we're moving forward with that software. We very much view this software as filling needs for stuff that we can't necessarily do with Operator Terminal Expert or Visio Designer. Database connectivity, MQTT connectivity. All the IoT functionality currently is mainly residing in Machine SCADA Expert. Right?
Really for the SCADA side.
Because that's a SCADA side, right? It's more of the SCADA side, and frankly, the Operator Terminal Expert is an evolving software, right? It takes time, right? We're currently, the main focus of Operator Terminal Expert right now is to build up so we can match all the functionality that we've had in Visio Designer for years, right? Because we still miss some of the, typically, customers be using Visio Designer forever. Oh, I can't do this anymore. Well, we'll be able to do it in Operator Terminal Expert, maybe not today, but in the roadmap, it's on there. So it's an evolving software, right? So it's building. So hopefully that all makes sense. And then just there's just a couple of things. These are some interesting things that we can do. We've got these little USB switches that you can, and these are all kind of programmed through the HMIs, right? So they're little USB accessories that plug into the HMI's USB port, and then this becomes a part of your HMI programs. So
and that can be plugged right into the HMI.
Correct. Right. So, see, most of the stuff today is all touch screens, right? But, we found that there still is a need for some customers to have hard-wired, hard switches sometimes, right? Yeah. And you can see same thing with the, same concept with this keypad, et cetera, right? And then the next one is also quite interesting. And this is a tower light. Okay. So same thing, you plug it into the USB port, and now you don't have discrete wires for each segment, right? You basically command it. So each segment can be 3 light elements, multicolor red, 4 colors. So you have complete control over each segment, how they flash, how they sound, what they do, and it's all programmed into your HMI, right? You don't need to do any PLC programming, et cetera. Yeah. So it is very, so it's actually quite nice. Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. So
it is.
Yeah. So that's all I had. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, no, it did. I mean, I've been thinking about the light stack, because a lot of times if you're going to set, turn on the light stack, one of the lights, you're also alarming on the HMI. So you're kind of simplifying your efforts by doing it both in the same place.
That's right.
So very cool. Plus the buttons on the USB, a lot of times you do that for the high volume buttons that the guys are going to be matching.
Absolutely. That's right.
So they don't break your screen.
You got it. Absolutely.
So no, very
right. And that's one of the
stuff.
things too. And you really can't tell that in here, but when you mention like alarming, one of the concepts that we have in Operator Terminal Expert is this concept of color themes, right? Where you can change the entire theme of the project just with, you can just change a register in your PLC, and now you can make the color theme like mostly red has an alarm, mostly blue, do a night mode where everything goes black, right? So again, very easy to implement, right? You don't have to write any scripts. You don't have to make any changes to your screens. You just say, this value represents this color theme. That's
super useful.
In that same vein, it's totally super useful, right?
Well, Tom, thank you very much for coming on the show and telling us all about the Harmony HMIs. I learned a lot, and you guys definitely have some very cool products and features there. And let me just thank you both, Tom and Jay, for coming on the show, and really appreciate bringing us up to speed on Harmony.
Excellent. I appreciate you giving us the time to do it. Absolutely.
And thank you, Shawn. And we got a few more that we'd like to bring in. Tom's probably going to be a speaker with one of our other product lines in the future. So stay tuned for that.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I did. And I want to thank Tom for taking time out of his busy schedule to put that presentation together and come on the show with Jay to tell us all about Harmony HMIs. Now, if you did enjoy this episode, please consider giving us a like, a sub, and a share. It really helps us grow the audience and find new vendors to come on the show. And if you want to follow me or get in touch, you can do so over at automation.locals.com. And you'll also find all of my training courses over at theautomationschool.com. With that said, I want to wish you all a courageous, fearless, and awesome week. And until next time, my friends, peace.